Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. Guess who's back? Back again. Gina's back. Tell a friend. I am back, guys. Back on camera. You get to see my mug. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm feeling better. I will explain next week what was going on with me because it actually kind of relates to what I talk about here on the show with government corruption and health and all kinds of stuff. So I am going to share the story with you guys about my health issues. So tune in for that next week. But right now, I have a huge breaking news story to share with you about January 6th, of course. A Capitol police officer named Michael A. Riley was just indicted, and this was by a grand jury on 2 charges of obstructing justice in the January 6th domestic terrorist attack at the Capitol. So here's the deal. Riley has been an officer with the Capitol Police Force for approximately 25 years. It's not like a new guy on the force. And he allegedly sent numerous messages to one of the January 6th domestic terrorists to help the guy evade detection. He tried to help him hide evidence from investigators. Apparently, Riley connected with this guy who has now been named by NBC News, at least, as Jacob Hiles. And he connected with him even before January 6th. So on January 1st, Riley sent a friend request to Hiles because they have a mutual love for fishing. And apparently they were both members of fishing-related Facebook groups. And according to the indictment, he sent Hiles dozens of messages after January 6th because Hiles was, of course, like so many of these other people, was posting photos and videos of what he did at the Capitol on January 6th. So this Capitol officer sent him dozens of messages encouraging him to delete his incriminating photos and videos from his time at the Capitol. Riley wrote to Hiles on January 7th, and this was the first time they had communicated privately. Other than that, they had just been connected in their groups and he had friended him. But on January 7th, he sent him a direct private message saying, quote, "Hey, I'm a Capitol police officer who agrees with your political stance. Take down the part about being in the Capitol. They are investigating and everyone who was in the building is going to be charged. Just looking out." Yeah, just looking out for that guy. So much for the thin blue line, huh? Yeah, I guess they should change their signs. Maybe should be the thin Trump line now, because that seems to be the breaking point where they give up on their fellow brothers in blue. In addition to that message, Riley shared with Hiles the methods that the FBI was using to identify these terrorists. And in one message, after Hiles had shared multiple videos with Riley, showing him, showing different things that were going on January 6th, Riley wrote back, quote, "I get it. It was a total shit show." Then he said, quote, "Just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm glad you got out of there unscathed. We had over 50 officers hurt, some pretty bad." And when Hiles messaged Riley back and said, "Oh, I don't think I did anything wrong," Riley sent him a message back saying, quote, "The only thing I can see is if you went into the building and they have proof, you will be charged. You could always articulate that you had nowhere to go, but that's for court." Now, remember that I said that. Riley is telling this guy how he can frame it. Oh, you could say you had nowhere to go. At what we've heard so many of these people saying, right, that they got pushed into the building. And this Capitol cop on January 7th, the very next day after the attack, is saying, "Oh, well, you could say this." Now, this cop was not on duty that day. He was not working in or outside of the Capitol that day. He did, however, respond to the call about the pipe bomb. So he knew that this was serious enough that people were placing bombs outside of the DNC and the RNC. And this is what he's telling this guy. So these two men continued corresponding via private message on Facebook after January 6th. And then on January 13th, Hiles mentioned to Riley that his January 6th actions were being discussed on social media. So Riley advised him, quote, get off social media. They're arresting dozens of people a day, everyone that was in the building, engaged in violent acts or destruction of property, and they're all being charged federally with felonies. Then another person reached out to Riley at some point. It was apparently mid-month. So it was about a week after the January 6th attack. Someone reached out to him and warned him about Hiles. And that this person, who was not named in any reports, sent Officer Riley a video of Hiles inside the Capitol smoking what the FBI describes or the prosecutors describe as an unknown substance. And then there was another video of him apparently inhaling smoke from what appeared to be a hand-rolled cigarette. Whether or not it had regular tobacco in it or not, I don't know. But Riley responded to that person and just said, quote, yep, I know. So keep all that in mind as I keep going with this, because after Hiles was arrested, which happened on January 19th, he sent Riley a message. He sent him an article about his indictment, and he called it fake news, of course. And Riley offered Hiles a place to stay, and he offered to get him a Capitol tour. I'm not kidding. Riley wrote, quote, next time you want to come to DC, just call me. You can stay at my house on the shore or for free, and bring your daughter to the museums. If you want to see the Capitol building, let's do it legally next time. I know a guy who can get you a tour, LOL. It's behind you now. Lesson learned. Just ask your attorney what's next. So he's viewed the videos of this guy in the Capitol smoking possibly weed, right? Inhaling somebody else's rolled cigarette, if it's a cigarette. He knows at this point, because this is now, the guy has been arrested. This is January 19th. All of the videos pretty much have been out there of officers being beaten, being tased. We knew, I believe at that point, that Officer Fanone had been tased to the point that he had a heart attack. We knew how serious this was at this point. And he's offering this guy to stay in his home. Then the next day, January 20th, Hiles messaged Riley and he says, quote, the FBI was very curious that I had been speaking to you. If they haven't already asked about you, they are gonna. They took my phone and downloaded everything. Riley then responded with, quote, that's fine. No big deal, right? Apparently it spooked him though, because he then deleted all of the messages between himself and Hiles. And evidently the two men then moved their conversation offline and they actually spoke on the phone, because in Riley's indictment, it says, quote, within hours of this conversation, person one sent text messages to two other individuals indicating that he had spoken to Capitol Police, and that was in quotes, and the charges against him were likely to involve only trespassing. So obviously person one is Hiles. And so what they're saying is he contacted two people, maybe friends, maybe family, to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I got charged, I got arrested, but this is probably just going to be a trespassing thing. No big deal. I talked to a Capitol cop and that's what they told me. Then the very next day after this, January 21st, it appears Riley finally realized that he was in deep shit. He realized that he needed to cover his ass because he sent a message to Hiles again. So remember, at this point, he's erased all of his messages with Hiles. He's offered the guy a place to stay with him after receiving video showing that the guy was in the building, right? And that he was maybe smoking weed. He then sends a message to Hiles after deleting all of their previous ones saying, quote, "Another mutual friend was talking about you the other night. I tried to defend you, but then he showed me a video of you in the Capitol smoking weed and acting like a moron. I have to say, I was shocked and dumbfounded since your story of getting pushed in the building with no other choice now seems not only false, but is a complete lie. I feel like a moron for believing you. I was mad last night. I deleted all your posts, but I wanted to text you this morning and let you know that I will no longer be conversing with you." Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, too late. And yes, you are a moron, Riley. Seriously, he received the videos showing Hiles smoking in the Capitol almost 2 weeks before this phony breakup message. And his only response was, "Yep, I know." Now all of a sudden, oh, he's outraged. He's clutching his pearls. He has a problem with it. Seriously? He was just offering 2 days before this, or whenever it was, he was offering for this guy to come stay at his home and he was going to get him a Capitol tour. Oh my God. Who are these people? This guy is a Capitol police officer, and he's so inept and idiotic that, number one, he didn't realize that his private Facebook messages could be subpoenaed. Let that sink in. He also, number two, didn't realize that he was actively taking part in a crime by helping this guy cover up his January 6th actions. And then three, he doesn't understand that anyone with even 2 brain cells wouldn't buy his BS breakup message after weeks of helping Hiles evade prosecution. I mean, I guess this explains how he was so easily duped by Trump and his election lies. So anyway, Riley was arrested. That happened today. He was placed on administrative leave, but he was granted bond, so he'll be free until his trial. And, you know, I just hope that this wakes up some of the Capitol cops who have been trying not to out their fellow officers, all the ones who have stayed silent all this time. This guy knew. He knew that almost 150 officers were injured on January 6th. He knew that several of these officers had suffered such horrific brain injury and PTSD that they actually took their own lives. He knew all of that. He knew that Officer Fanone had been tasered until he had a heart attack. He knew all of this. And yet he tried to help one of these terrorist bastards to evade the FBI. This guy is the lowest of the low. He needs to spend the maximum amount of time in prison for these alleged crimes, which apparently he's facing up to 20 years. He sold out his fellow officers for Donald freaking Trump. Can you think of anything more pathetic and moronic? I seriously can't. When he's sitting behind bars, let's hope, and he realizes that he gave up his job, his friends, his family, his home, everything, his future, because he's 50 years old. If he gets even half of the maximum, I mean, wow, what a way to spend the second half of your life. Gave it all up for Donald Trump and his lies. What an idiot. So anyway, guys, I will keep you posted. Like I said, this just happened today. He was just arrested. Apparently his police chief, though, knew for the last few weeks that he was under investigation. And he's obviously known since January. So, he could have come clean all this time. He could have stepped up. He could have been brave. But let's make America great again by lying, cheating, selling out your fellow officers, and trying to overthrow the government. What a time to be alive. Anyway, guys, great to be back. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care. I will talk with you soon.